Yes, guys, welcome back to SFeatley F1, and we're here for the weekend review to the 2022 Miami Grand Prix here at it was at the Miami International Autodrome around the Hard Rock Stadium. And well, what did we make of that? Was that a job well done by Liberty Media, or was that just a big facade? The racing, I don't think, was good, as I would say, as it could be. I think the track was decent in some areas, struggled in other areas. I think, like, apart from two zones that you could overtake, it was a bit difficult for drivers to make moves and overtaking compared to some circuits. But the spectacle, I think it was mainly about the spectacle. A lot of celebrities, absolutely packed. And do you know what? People were killed to be on the grid, right? Down there on the grid at the build up to a Grand Prix, right? So when a celebrity gets down there, which is down there because you're specially invited by teams, right? Have the if someone asks you for an interview for 2 minutes, have the respect to do it, man. Have the respect. Come on. Like, not asking much. Like, so, but yeah, look, Miami, I feel was, it was more about the show rather than the actual racing myself. The racing was good in parts, but definitely could improve in others. In terms of the battle between Leclerc and Verstappen, this is the thing. I think, say for Verstappen, and big up Max. I hope you're doing all right. Verstappen and Leclerc, the title fight carries on, doesn't it? The title fight carries on, and I'm telling you now, guys, Red Bull have an advantage at the minute, and Ferrari need to find an answer, because A, I don't think they took a gamble on their set strategy at one point. B, that car at the Red Bull can keep the tyre temperatures down. I don't think it was more tyre degradation on a previous show. It's more about tyre temps. If you saw midway through that stint, Verstappen could close on Leclerc and overtake him. Now, because Leclerc could manage to just about keep up with him, so I don't think he was losing tyre degradation. I think it was more down to the fact he can't keep the tyre temperatures under control. And I think that's been the problem with the Ferrari, which is weird, because they've gone for a higher downforce concept than the Red Bull, so they should have more downforce. Red Bull with the more downforce should be able to combat that, but like Ferrari haven't been able. But yeah, it doesn't make sense quite how they've been able to combat that, but they need to find an answer. They need to go to Spain. Spain, obviously, they've got planned for big upgrades. Everyone's planned big upgrades in Spain. It's one of their test tracks, and they need to find an answer there, because Red Bull had an edge, and they've had an edge for a couple of races now in the way they handle their tyres and the way they handle the degradation, the tyre temperatures during a Grand Prix. And it's a lot better. You saw it in the sprint race in Imola. You saw it in Saudi Arabia. You saw it here in Miami, especially with the heat in Miami as well. The heat track temperature was 54 degrees, I believe, during a Grand Prix, around about 30-degree air temperature. So very hot conditions for the tyres to go through. And it was a real struggle for Ferrari to be able to manage that and keep the Red Bulls behind. You saw Perez and Sainz fighting all the way through the Grand Prix, even though Perez had a sensor issue which cost him 13 brake horsepower on his engine. To lose 13 brake horsepower is like losing half a tenth. Like, is like losing 0.3 of a second down a straight. So he lost a fair bit of time there, but he was still managing to keep up with Sainz and putting pressure on him to all the way through the race. And yeah, it's a real shame that. I mean, obviously, if it's not Mercedes challenging, I want anyone but Red Bull to win. Like, and it's not because of Verstappen, really. It's because obviously Christian Horner and Helmut Marko and Christian Horner and the rest of them, they're all hypocritical, arrogant twats, and I can't stand them. So anyone but Red Bull to win. I don't care if it's a Haas. I don't care if it's a Aston Martin. I don't care if it's an Alpine. I just want a car to beat Red Bull. End of story. And we'll go through the grid one by one because we'll obviously do the ratings. Mercedes. Obviously, I'm going to talk about Mercedes. They're the team that I'm following, especially Hamilton. But obviously Mercedes in general, because I'm obviously supporting Russell as well. Russell had a very poor start to the Grand Prix. He had a very poor qualifying session. He had a very difficult weekend. Very poor start and dropped all the way back to about 17th, I believe, at the start. Couldn't warm the tyres up at all. But on the hard tyre. But luckily, with a little bit of strategy helping with the safety car, he managed to fight his way back up to 5th position. And I think that's a job well done by Russell. Absolutely brilliant. And he's proving again and again why Mercedes were right to keep him that long in choosing him, to make sure they knew he was ready. And that time of giving him those three seasons, 2019, 2020, 21, though people said he should have been in the car after 2020, giving him them 3 seasons, even that extra season in 21, to prove that he could do it in qualifying, he could do it in the race, right? Proves again why Mercedes did that. So fair play to Mercedes for doing that long and not listening to the majority of the crowd. But I mean, he's done ever so well, like in Mercedes. And Mercedes is struggling. Don't Mercedes, like, their concept at the minute, they've either got to make a decision, stick with the concept they're going on, or go back to the original. Right? Make a decision, right? Because at the moment, you're not producing what you need to produce. And if you want to be back in the championship or have any chance of getting back in it, you've got to make a decision very, very quickly, right? While the season's still young and while you still have a gap that you can close. Because at the moment, you are falling way behind. And if you're not careful, the teams behind you are going to end up catching up, right? Bottas, again, starting in front of the Mercedes in qualifying, right? And even then, Bottas was like, Hamilton was struggling to get past him. It wasn't until a mistake from Bottas that cost him that position. Otherwise, I don't think Hamilton would have got past him. And that's the thing, again, I think with the DRS zones as well. The DRS zones, I feel that haven't been as effective this year as they have been last year. And I really do feel that's down to the fact we're focusing on the ground effect downforce, not downforce on the wings. And because there's less downforce there's not so much drag to release from the rear wings. So there's not enough grip speed gained from the DRS. That's my whole take on it. So make it out what you will. But like, it pains me to see like Mercedes in the state they are after the money they were supposed to have saved from last season. To see where they are, it's disgusting. So yeah, they need to improve big time and like make a decision on where they want to go with this car and the concept they want to go down. So, but again, Hamilton did a good job. He outperformed in the car, getting into 6th, I believe, on the grid. the strategy worked a little against him, which meant obviously it was overtaken by Russell and got into sixth, fell back to sixth. But he did a good job in that Mercedes. He couldn't really ask for anything more, really. And he's doing everything he can, using his mental capacity as well as his driving capacity to find the developments that need to be made on the car and find the problems. And that's why he's pushing it to extremes that the car can't handle. Usually he's been able to push cars to those limits, and he could do stuff with the car that will keep the car on those limits, but he can't seem to do it. This car just doesn't want to do it within this season. So he's just gonna have to keep working at it and find a way around it somehow. Anyway, we moved, like I said, Science again outperformed, outclassed by his teammate, outpaced by his teammate. He couldn't even keep up with Leclerc. Science, I do feel, is starting to show he's not as strong as Leclerc. And I do feel that Ferrari will end up saying, sorry, mate, you're playing second fiddle to Leclerc now. Because Leclerc's leading his title by 19 points. Let me bring up actually the driver standings as they are now, following the Andy Grand Prix. Right, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Really do appreciate it. So here we go. Charles Leclerc, 104 points. 19 points behind is Max Verstappen. 40. 38 points behind him is Sergio Perez. George Russell, right, is what? 45 points behind. And Carlos Sainz, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51. 51 points behind his teammate. He's over 2 victories away from his teammate. That's right. And Hamilton on 36 points. No wonder Hamilton's saying he's out the title race. He's over 100 points. He's 108 points down. He's 70. He's 68 points down on first place. Right, but look at that. That gap, 51 points, is not good enough. And he's going to get shafted as second driver very quickly. So Spain, his home race, he needs to win that Grand Prix. Sainz needs to come out in the next Grand Prix and win it. Otherwise, it is going to be focused completely on it's going to be completely focused on Leclerc. And it should be, because unfortunately the car's not performing. Simple as that. So what can you do? Luckily, we haven't heard any more comments from Helmut Marko or Christian Horner. Thank God. Right, so maybe they have listened and kept their mouth shut. But other performances out there. Esteban Ocon had the accident in free practice 3. Meant he couldn't qualify in qualifying. Started from the pit, from the back of the grid. Ended up 8th and ahead of his teammate. Unbelievable performance to get the car back up there. Another one, Stroll even had a good performance. Apparently, this is comical. In the Miami Heat, Aston Martin, both drivers couldn't form on the grid because they had to start from the pit lane to avoid a penalty or disqualification because their fuel was too cold. Someone had obviously left it in the fridge or stuck it on the refrigerator. It was too cold in the Miami heat of 30 degrees. Right. Who the fuck did that? It's comical. Now everyone knows it as an engineer, who's an engineer. If you have cold fuel, it can bring you a performance advantage. That's why it has to be a certain temperature. So that's why they had to start from the pit lane. So they didn't want to avoid a penalty. So they had to pump fuel, all that fuel, and pump in warm fuel that would actually be that will pass the regulations. So yeah, that's why both of them had to start from the pit lane. And Vettel was doing well until his shunt with Mick, which I think was more Mick Schumacher's fault than Vettel's. But I think it was agreed that 50-50 accident was fair because it took Vettel out of the race, it took Mick Schumacher out of the points. Didn't need to punish him any further. I think both drivers made up for it afterwards anyway. But I think Vettel was probably to Mick saying, "Yeah, Mick, you're not your dad yet. Calm down, son. You ain't your dad yet. Trust me." But Stroll, he got the car into Q3, which was the disappointing thing when he started from the pit lane. He got it into Q3 10th, and he still managed to get it back into 10th by the end of the Grand Prix. So that was a really good effort by him. Everyone was obviously going to pick Max Verstappen, usually for driver of the day. And he did well. Yeah, he started off well. He made that critical move at the start of the Grand Prix. If he didn't make that move at the start of the Grand Prix on Sainz, Ferrari would have won that. They would have won that probably Leclerc first, Verstappen second, because Sainz would have kept Verstappen behind. He would have kept him behind, and Leclerc would have been away. So he knew he had to get past Sainz, and it was a great move. Very clinical, right on the limit. Very good move indeed, and it set him perfectly up to go out and chase after Leclerc for the rest of the Grand Prix. So it was again a great performance by him, and that's why probably a lot of people chose him as driver of the day. But again, I don't really go for that. I'm looking for. For my driver of the weekend, it would have been Esteban Ocon. I said it earlier on another stream, Esteban Ocon for me, because of getting from last to 8th in an Alpine is a very good achievement, and beating the teammate on top of that. So mine would go to that would be my driver of the day for me, because that was an unbelievable performance. But I am going to go through the results of the Grand Prix and go through the driver ratings. This ain't going to be too long. This is only going to be about half an hour. It'll be about another 10 minutes or so, because it's getting late and I'm getting tired, and I've got loads of other streams to plan, so I've got to sort them out. So let's quickly solve this. Right, those are the results. I need to hang on. Hang on a minute. Right. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's get this. Let's get this. Right. There you go. Let's go for it. So we're going to start from the back of the grid and work our way up. Zhao, I believe he started on the grid 17th and did have a good race result. He retired early on, so very poor for me for Zhao. Extremely poor. Let me just actually, yeah. So, who else? Lando Norris, very poor weekend. The performance in the race wasn't good. Then obviously that accident took him out of the race completely. Pierre Gasly had to retire because of the incident he had. So very poor performance from him. Sebastian Vettel, though retired, was counted as 17th. It was a poor weekend for me. I was expecting better from him. Kevin Magnussen, compared to what he's done this season, poor weekend, mate. Poor. Same with Mick Schumacher. He was okay actually, but he was okay in qualifying. He was really good in qualifying, but the race really did hamper him, so that's why he goes to okay only. The T3 14th was helped by the safety car. Qualifying performance was poor again. Was poor. I'm going to go to Ricardo, poor strategy. Qualifying performance wasn't quite there. Another poor weekend, just a poor weekend for McLaren all round, to be honest. I must say, poor weekend all round. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Yuki Tsunoda in 12th. Was complaining a lot during the Grand Prix, a little poor for me. Fernando Alonso, he started off well. He did start off well, then not back to where he belonged. I'd say it was an okay performance by Fernando. 10th, Lance Stroll. Now, 10th, Lance Stroll was one of my very good performances. He was very good, absolutely very good. To recover that, to get back to 10th was quality. Alexander Albon, even, very good one. Very good performance as well. Helped with the strategy, but definitely got himself up. Big up, Stephen. Great show. Thank you. Yeah, got himself up into the top 10 and 2 more precious points for Williams, who have struggled to start the season. I was expecting so much better from Williams this season. So we move to Esteban Ocon. He was my driver of the day. So for me, he was my driver of the day. Like, from the back of the grid to 8th, beating your teammate as well, and it couldn't go much higher, apart from 7th. It was quality. Bottas, for me, had another great weekend. Small mistake in the race, which cost him 5th and 6th. But I think very good weekend by Bottas, once again outshining the Mercedes in qualifying. Like, proving Toto overall if you want, you know. Like, you know what I mean? So Lewis Hamilton, he had a good weekend actually, to be honest. He had a good weekend. Like, he couldn't do anything much. The safety car didn't help him in terms of his battle with Russell. So, and Russell, very good performance to recover. It was a good performance. He struggled at good performance because overall, in general, he was very good in the race to recover from what he poor start and be in the position he was in. But yeah, it was poor throughout the weekend though. So yeah, he struggled a lot during the weekend. So that's why it's only a 7. Sergio Perez in 4th. Had a good weekend, to be honest. Could have been a bit better, but a good weekend, to be honest. Chasing down Sainz, putting pressure on him throughout the race, despite having a sensor issue as well, costing him brake horsepower. So, Carlos Sainz in 3rd. Right. Again, I'm going to put a 6 actually. Do you know why? Because he needs to start beating Leclerc. He needs to start beating him. If he wants to win, he needs to start beating him. Simple as that. He needs to, and he's not doing it. Leclerc, again, a very good performance. Couldn't ask anything more, really. The Red Bull just seemed to be better in race pace because of the way it's handling its tyres, but still 2nd, 19 points in front. He'll take that, definitely, especially after what happened in Imola. Max is a 9 for me. Very good performance. Couldn't made the critical move on the first lap. Got that move done. Took the lead of the race with the best, with handling the tyres much better, and never looked like relinquishing the lead after that. So there you go. Even after Leclerc put all that pressure on him. So gonna start with the teams. So Williams, again, it's a little poor, and the only reason it's a little poor is because of what Albon managed to do. But again, I was expecting so much better from Williams this year, and it's not proven that at all. So Haas, I think it was a poor weekend from them in their standards, to be honest. Compared to what they've done in the last 4 races, it's a poor weekend for me. I was expecting a lot more. So there you go. Alfa Romeo, I think, did a bang average. Very good with Bottas, very poor with Zhou. So in the middle, something like that, to be honest. I'm going to go with Aston Martin, like a little poor. I mean, sorry, you had cold fuel in your car that put you both on the back in the pit lane. That's schoolboy errors. Sorry, absolute schoolboy. Can't be doing that. So yeah, 4 for me. But Alpine, good weekend, to be honest, I'd say. Very good standout performance from Ocon. They covered that well. Bit unlucky with Alonso missing out on the top 10, but still very good performance from them. McLaren, it was extremely poor by them. The whole weekend was not good by them by any standards. But their strategy was wrong. The pace was wrong. It was just wrong. AlphaTauri is a mixed bag. It was poor again. It was poor compared to the previous Grand Prix. Poor weekend. Expect much better from them. Now moving to the top 3. Mercedes. I'd say a good weekend in general, because despite those troubles, they managed to get 5th and 6th after recovering with Russell with the strategy. They couldn't expect anything more, so a good weekend from them. You can't expect anything more from Mercedes right now until they start improving that car even more. Right. Leclerc, sorry, Ferrari. Good weekend, right? Just didn't have that raw speed that Red Bull has. Red Bull top class performance by them. So yeah, couldn't perform any better, to be honest. And there you go. Those are the ratings for this week. Let me know in the comments below, or let us know in the chat if you agree or disagree. What would you change? What would you be your driver of the weekend? What would be your team of the weekend would be? Let me know. What is your worst performing driver of the weekend? Please do let us know. It'd be really helpful. Plus, also do smash the like and subscribe. But we are going to end it there because I didn't want to go on too long because it's getting late. I've got loads of stuff to do as well. So over the night. So please do smash the like button, smash that subscribe button, smash the share button as well. Really, really important. And my big ups to everyone that's tuned in. Really do appreciate you all. But we are going to end it there. We're back with another show, hopefully not tomorrow night, Wednesday night. But until then, take care. Bye bye.